Hello out there, and welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Q. I'm listening. This is Kiana, and I hope everyone out there is having a great day so far. If not, keep your head up and keep pushing forward. Now, I always love to jump right in when I have a guest on the show. My guest today was brought to me by networking, which was my first time doing so, but it's worked out really great. Now, before I introduce my guest, I'd like to share a little bit about him first, for starters. He works with organizations to establish mentoring programs. He influences mentoring as a culture and provides one on one direct mentoring for individuals of all backgrounds and levels globally. He actually served in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for 25 years, and he's the founder of Talent C and co founder of the International Mentor Community. I'd like to formally welcome Doug Lawerence after such a lengthy introduction. Welcome to the show, Doug. It's nice to have you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Great, great. Now, my listeners know that my podcast is usually about mental health and may wonder how we're going to tie in what you do in the mental health world. Well, I have news for them that we do. Doug has written a book called You're Not Alone, How Mentoring Can Bring Value to the Support Structure for Mental Health. Doug is currently working with researchers to examine the role of mentoring as a support for struggling with PTSD. His experience in law enforcement, coupled with working with people suffering from PTSD, offered him a unique view of mentoring and PTSD. Doug's also an international speaker and author of All Facets of Mentoring. So I think that's really interesting that you took those two things and put them together. How did you
Yeah,
come about that idea?
it was a lot of when I was doing the research for the book, You Are Not Alone, is when everything kind of, all the pieces to the puzzle all kind of came together quite nicely, actually. And it was just a minute. A lot of the things that I do in the mentoring space, I could do to help provide support to somebody struggling with mental health. And I actually myself, as a result of my service, had post-traumatic stress. So it was very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, what it did for me was it helped me deal with some of the demons that had been part of my life as I was still working in the RCMP. And then once I left, it also had an impact on me and my behavior even after I left that environment.
Interesting. So now, how does the program work exactly? What made you want to make well, you just said how why you wanted to make it, but how does the program exactly work?
So the main thing behind it is we have what we call so not everybody. Let me back that up. So not everybody would be interested in mentoring, especially at the mental health level, at the mental health space. And so,
Hmm.
as part of going through and doing the research and writing the book and all of that sort of stuff, I came to realize that we could create a path for people who are interested in and want to become educated in providing support to someone who is struggling or dealing with mental health challenges or mental health issues. And so I worked with my business partner to come up with we call it program, but it more importantly, I think, is a certification path that people can follow in order to become more comfortable in working with somebody who has mental health difficulties.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea because it definitely takes some training and some empathy, and just understanding them to be able to work with them. It actually sounds like I suffer from mental illness, and a couple years ago, when I had to go in and out of the hospital a couple times, I got out of the hospital and I said, "Wow, I almost wish there was like a personal assistant for someone who's mentally ill because it's really hard to kind of get your life going, or a life coach or a mentor or something like that." So it's amazing to me now to see so long down the line that something like this is finally happening.
It's long overdue, and I think that that's what sort of propelled me or got me thinking or motivated me to want to be able to deal with this is that a lot of the people that I would talk to, they were saying, you know, this is a perfect place for you to plug the mentoring that you do, and you're good at what it is you do. So, it's time for you to take that and use that to help people on their healing journey. And I've just, I've seen so many of the people that I work with, the results that we get as a result of that is just, it's unfathomable how people respond to the mentoring process.
I bet. I bet, because I'm actually about to go into it's a program called IOP. It's intensive outpatient program. So it's like Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 12:30. I'll go to Johns Hopkins Hospital, and I'll get like meditation, and I'll get DBT therapy and group therapy and stuff like that. But something like that, something like that ongoing, and it would really, really be helpful. It definitely would.
Well,
It sounds like something.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say what it does for you is that when you leave the hospital to go home, you know that you have somebody you can reach out to if you have that mentor, right?
Exactly.
That's what I find is, we spend a lot of time, send people to all kinds of professional medical help, but there's a gap, and that's where the mentoring piece can most definitely plug into that. It's not that we're not saying come and see a mentor versus go and see your psychologist, psychiatrist, your counselor, social worker. We're not saying that. What we're saying is this is in addition to all of those professional support people.
Yeah, like almost like an aftercare plan after you've gotten all that stuff. Yeah, I like that, an ongoing aftercare plan. What do you think is a common myth about your field of expertise in doing this now?
If I look at it from the aspect of just mentoring in general, there's two main myths. The first is that I, as the mentor, must be older than the person I'm mentoring. That's a common myth and where a lot of that comes from is the aspect of, it's got to be that gray-haired old sage passing on their wisdom to somebody who is younger and stuff. That doesn't fly nowadays, because mentoring is actually a two-way relational arrangement where
Definitely.
Right, where the mentor and mentee work together. The other is that I, as the mentor, must have industry-specific experience, which is hugely wrong. I don't need to have industry-specific experience, because what that does for me is that gives me a whole array of questions I can ask to help to build the relationship. So, tell me about, your organization. Tell me about the job. What are some of the tasks you have to perform on a day-to-day basis? I'm asking all those questions, and what I'm doing is I'm starting to build that level of trust. I'm starting to build a relationship, and I'm also at the same time starting to drill down into what might be the root cause of why we're getting together to have a conversation.
Yeah, I can see why. Now, what do you think the most important lesson you've learned over your career in trying to get this started and doing this?
I think that the most important thing that I've learned is that we need to be able to listen and hear what the other person is saying, and we need to know when it's time to kind of zip our mouth and let them talk and tell their story versus, I've been there and done that. Yeah, you may have been there, but you may not experience things the way this person does. And that's really important to understand that.
Yeah, respecting everybody's own story and their path or whatever. In your opinion, what's the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to be successful in your line of work doing this?
And I think we've kind of, sort of touched on that, which is the listening.
The listening, yeah.
Yeah, but also to be non-judgmental. And I had that happen just the last couple of days here, where somebody had said that thank you for being non-judgmental, because they were going through some issues, and we had a conversation, and I didn't pass judgment. I didn't say, well, if it was me, I don't know, or one of the favorite comments that you get from an organizational perspective is just suck it up, buttercup, and and get on with
Hmm.
it. No, no, everybody deals with stuff differently, and we have to be respectful of that.
That's so very true. That's very, very true. Now, how do you have a mentor through this? Any professional mentor that kind of helped you along the way with this, or gave you, insight or?
I, for me personally, I have a number of mentors that I have interacted with over the life that have helped shape who I am, and one that always comes to the forefront is my uncle who served in the uh, Canadian Air Force,
Oh, okay.
and he was that sort of person that you looked up to him because he treated everybody with kindness, he treated everybody with respect, and I always sat in awe of him, and I went, at the end of the day, if I could be like anybody, it would be I would like to be like him.
Yeah, it sounds like he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Now, so I guess explain. So let's say that I wanted to be part of the program. What's the process for the program? What getting into the program and getting a mentor and all that kind of stuff.
So the aspect from the mentor perspective is that it, ideally, what I would hope is that people would go through and become certified as a mentor. And there's a number of steps that you can go through to do that. So you need to. We have what we call a journey mentor, and the journey mentor is somebody, number one, that will help people navigate through the certification process. That's number one. Number two is that once they become certified, they then can be part of that program where we're providing that support structure to people that are struggling or dealing with mental health illnesses. And so it's a program that's based on competence. So you have to be able to verify that you actually have the experience that is required in order to become
Hmm.
that certified mentor.
Yeah. All right. And then on the opposite end, what would you, let's say I was the person that was mentally ill and wanted to find services with you guys. What's the process for that? Is it a long process or like what's the intake like?
No, it's not that difficult because what I try to that's what a lot of people that are struggling with mental health challenges today are telling me that it takes I have to wait sometimes 4 months for
Hmm.
somebody to and what we want to be able to do with this program is to speed that up and make it more readily accessible. So it would simply be if somebody's struggling today, they can reach out to me and we'll do whatever we possibly can in order to help get them the support structure that they need.
That's really great. Where are you guys located?
I'm here in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, but one thing we've learned with COVID is that location is really not an issue.
Yeah, no, it's kind of null and void now.
Because
It definitely is.
yeah, I work with people through the American Corporate Partners, which is an organization in the U.S. that helps military personnel transition from service life to civilian life,
Oh,
and
okay.
and a number of those individuals are struggling with post traumatic stress and
Yeah.
other mental health, and everything we do is done virtually.
Wow, wow, that's really good. Sign of the times that you're right. Anything's possible now.
Yeah.
Now, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years with this program?
Oh, one of my main objectives is to make the world a better place to be. So if I can be, anywhere as close to that, realizing that goal where, we have certified mentors all over the globe that are all working in the mental health space and helping people, that would be a success to me.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That would definitely be wonderful. Now, I have on a side note, I read your article called "I Can't Leave the Closet," which talked about mental health struggles and perhaps needing a journey mentor. What is a journey mentor exactly?
Well, the journey mentor that's the sort of the top end of the certification process that you can go through to become a certified mentor. So
Mhm.
the journey mentor is somebody who helps people navigate through the certification process and get ready for the verification processes as well. And then it's somebody that is comfortable working in the mental health space.
Okay.
So you go through, you have to, you would first become certified competent as a mentor, and then the next step is you become certified competent as a journey mentor. And so the two are kind of nested inside each other, but one is to get to the journey mentor. Yeah, it's a prerequisite that you become certified competent as a mentor first.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And how long did it take for you to get all this up and running? Like, was it a project that took a long time, or?
It did, because there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So we're talking about 72 or 73 action outcome statements that
Wow.
they're somewhat like a competency statement, but
Yeah.
we have 72 or 73, and you have to be able to, we had to, number one, build that process, and then kind of test it to make sure. So I was the so-called guinea pig, where I went through and I did all the levels and went through all of the audits or the verification processes. My verification interview was 2.5 hours long.
Wow. Oh my
So
goodness gracious. I
yeah.
mean, they mean business. So now, where on a day-to-day basis, how walk me through a day, I guess, at your office there, what you do.
Yeah, so for me, most of it is obviously the nasty social media stuff that you build that in,
Yes.
and sometimes I get, especially because I do lots of writing, and I'm actually starting to formulate some thoughts on my next book, my third book. Um, so I do lots of that. I do lots of research and stuff as well, and then I do lots of virtual mentoring, but I also do face-to-face mentoring as well. So I've got some contracts with organizations to do leadership mentoring.
Oh
So
wow.
helping their new managers acquire the skills they need in order to be successful, and using mentoring processes and techniques in order to be able to do that. I have, organizations coming to me and saying, employee A we're looking at terminating employee A. Can you do something so we don't have to do that? And
Oh
so
wow.
I get called in. I kind of call it mentoring versus termination, is kind of
Yeah.
the service name that I use, but I do that a fair amount as well. And then, I think the big thing for me is I'm a relationship junkie, so I need to get out and spend some time, just meeting with people and talking, and in essence, kind of doing the unofficial mentoring, where,
Yeah.
right, it's just having a conversation and maybe sharing a couple of my lived experiences that may help somebody go in a different direction.
Okay. All right. So now, in your we keep on using the word mentoring. In your eyes, what is the definition of mentoring, or to be a mentor?
Well, mentoring is a two-way trusted relational arrangement where both the mentor and the mentee learn and grow together on a personal and professional basis. And the reason that I talk about personal and professional is, excuse me, that everybody thinks mentoring is all about career development, and right, it's all about, you know, I want a mentor to help me get a job and do all the job related stuff. That's part of the story. The most important part of the story is the personal growth. So are you somebody who struggles with self-esteem, self-confidence, self-doubt, self-worth? That's all the personal growth stuff that we need to look at first before we start to tackle whereabouts you are with your career, and the resume writing and prepping for interviews and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have that conversation till I'm comfortable that we're in a place where we actually believe in ourselves and we understand where we want to go and how we're going to get there.
Yeah, kind of like at the foundation of them.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. That's really, really interesting. Wow. Oh, my gosh. It makes me want to be a part of this program. This really, I feel like everyone should be a part of this program. I think everyone
Yeah.
should have a mentor, really.
Yeah.
This is really wonderful. Well, now, um, do you think that, you're, um, gonna build the business over the years? Like, how many people now do you have working for, like, that are mentors? And do you
I
think
have,
can you see it growing in numbers?
oh, definitely. I mean, just, our conversation is going to help spread the word that,
Definitely.
so that's all. I have access today to 5 absolutely phenomenal mentors. If at any time I need to bring someone into the picture, I've got those 5 people to
Oh,
kind of
that's great.
shoulder tap, and they're high quality mentors. They are doing some really good work out there, just even today. So that's important, that to have that. So that would be, that's the start. And then from there, I just hope that people start to pick up on the becoming certified as a mentor and wanting to be, the big thing is people, it's, well, I don't know if I could make a difference. And, I'm really nervous about if, like you made reference to the article on coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready for that deep of a relationship, mentoring relationship. So maybe I'll wait and see, and kind of stuff like that, instead of saying I can make a difference. And
Yeah.
I will make a difference. Give me the skills, the tools, give me the tools I need in order to do that, and point me in the right direction, and I'll do that. Like the demand, the need is so great. I had a conversation this morning with a colleague of mine who is a counselor that has, I forget what the number was, just it blew me away. Pick a number, you can pick any number, 16 new clients in the last 8 days.
Wow.
So that's kind of gives us a sense of how big this problem actually is. It's
Yeah.
it's what I call the silent pandemic.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It is a silent pandemic. Because, and from two different aspects. One, the mentoring, of people with PTSD and mental illness, and then also the mentoring of people that just need mentoring. I think that there's a lot of people out there that could use guidance and could use growth and don't quite know where to get it from. And you're right about that special relationship connection with somebody. I think that really, really helps and goes a long way to build something for somebody to be able to grow with somebody else, or at least have somebody aiding in their growth.
And the other thing we can add to that whole story or that whole picture is, what about grief?
Yes. Oh, right. Oh my
We
gosh, yes.
right? We don't understand that someone who's grieving, their mental health may very well also be suffering as a result of that.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
and so I plan on, with the next book, of incorporating a chapter or two into the book around the aspect of grief and mental health, and grief and mentoring, and how important it is for all those dots to be connected. Because we've lost track, I think, of how many people passed away because of COVID, on top of how many people normally die
Yeah.
globally, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of pain and suffering that takes. I know I went through the loss of my wife and through cancer, and I've started to see where I've started to see very strongly the correlation between grief and mental health.
Yeah. I'm really sorry about that. I know you had
Thank
said
you.
that it was recent. Um, Yeah, no, you're right. The grief and mental health, and having a mentor, somebody to journey you through the steps of grief, because grief is steps. And if you don't know, like I've been blessed that I have not lost too many people in my life. I did lose my father, so that was a big one. But you don't realize how hard it is to get through those steps of grief. I have a friend right now who lost her brother, and it's only been, it hasn't even been a year yet, but she's really, she could use a mentor. She's really stuck in some dark areas of the grief process, and she just doesn't know what to do or how to come out of it or where to go from there. And I think having somebody that would kind of know the way or be able to guide you a little bit would be so much more helpful in that process.
Yeah, and like last night, I was at a peer to peer support group for bereavement. So there are support groups that are out there, and people can go to those support groups and ask for help, and that's one way. But the mentoring is definitely another way for somebody who's going through the tough times of understanding all the elements of grief, the guilt, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that sort of stuff. Is the mentoring element is a way for people to be able to deal with some of those issues or challenges that come from the loss of a loved one.
Yeah, I think that because it's, you're right. There's support groups out there. There's therapists out there, but I think having that one-on-one special close connection with a mentor, like that's your person, your go-to, that you can fully feel vulnerable and explain, and they're going to get it, and they're going to be able to, and if they don't get it, they're going to come back, they're going to find out a way that they can get it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And you said you're going to be writing your next book on that?
There'll be a couple chapters in it. I'm going to take the comments and the learnings from writing You Are Not Alone, and I'm going to incorporate that into this next book. But what I've found is that there's a gap out there for how do I deal with my grief, and I want to be able to try and address that as much as I can through the mentoring process, but include that as one or two chapters in the book.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So now for my listeners, if they wanted to find out more about your program, where would they go to find out? Where would they go online or out there
Yeah,
to find out?
the best way is, well, number one, you can take a look at my LinkedIn profile. So search for Doug Lawerence, and there's quite a bit of information in LinkedIn and that. The the best possible way is you can go through my website, which is www.talentc.ca. And there's also my second website that you can go to that talks about the mentoring certification, which is www.internationalmentoringcommunity.com. It's a long handle to try and type out, but so www.internationalmentoring.com, international mentoring community.com, sorry. And then the last part that I always tell people, if you can reach me through my website to www.talentc.ca through the contact page, but just as easily you can send me an email and I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as I can. And that's doug.lawrence at talentc, so the word talent with the letter C on the end.ca.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you for sharing that. And then also, the names of your books, if anybody would like to check out your books.
So, The Gift of Mentoring is the first book that I wrote, and it was published in 2014. And the second book, You Are Not Alone, was just published in January of this year, and it made the Amazon #1 bestseller list. So,
Wow,
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. I
That's really awesome.
Yeah, I was pretty pleased. And so both books are available on the Amazon.com or Amazon.ca site.
That is really awesome. Now, is there anything that you can think that I missed? in asking questions, or is there anything that you feel like you didn't um, let me know more about the program or let the listeners know more about the program?
I think we've covered it off. Yeah, I think
Okay,
we've covered
good.
it off. Yeah.
Good, good. Well, I'm so glad. Well, we're about out of time, but it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Doug. Thanks for coming on the show. I know my listeners learned a lot about something new. And if you have any shout outs or plugs for anybody, any more shout outs or any thank yous that you'd like to give, feel free to do it now.
Well, the big thing is I encourage your listeners to tell people about your podcast, your show, and this has been very beneficial. Certainly for me being as a guest, but just how your program is going to be able to reach out to so many people and make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the point. I really do want to reach out and let everybody know that they're not alone and other people are here struggling. And
Yeah,
it's, sometimes it's that you're, like you said, it's that relationship, it's that human connection that keeps us all going.
yeah.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It's been wonderful to speak with you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Well, you take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Well, guys, that was Doug Lawerence. I'm really, really happy to say that a wonderful guest. Well, we learned so much today. And I'd just like to give my shout outs to Jake Dante at Off the Mats Podcast. And I'd like to give my other shout out to Tiana Taylor at Tiana underscore to lower TALILOREOR, excuse me, at BJJ underscore BJJ. And I would like to just say, I'm listening, guys. Thank you.